We need to discuss your father's recent mental decline. My dad's doctor on the other end of the phone line sounded serious. What are you talking about? He was fine the last time I saw him. I wasn't prepared for what came next. Dr. Patterson told me that my dad had been diagnosed with early-stage dementia, and his mental deterioration was advancing faster than she'd ever seen in someone his age. I asked Dr. Patterson if she was absolutely certain about the diagnosis, and she confirmed the test results were undeniable. I felt my chest get tight. My dad was 62 years old and had been completely fine a month ago. He was a vision of health, and it made no sense for this to happen so quickly. I drove to his house immediately after work and found him sitting in the living room looking confused and tired. When I asked him how he was feeling, he couldn't remember what he'd done that morning or what day it was. He kept apologizing for forgetting things, and his eyes looked scared. My Aunt Rita was there, his sister, making him tea and helping him around the house since his diagnosis. She'd moved in to take care of him, and she seemed genuinely concerned about his condition. I visited him 3 times that week, and each time he seemed worse. His words were slurred, his memory was completely shot, and he kept asking me the same questions over and over again. But something felt off about the whole situation. When Rita would run to the grocery store or step away for a while to make a meal, my dad would become more alert, and his speech cleared up noticeably. He seemed almost normal for a few minutes until she came back and made him his tea. Then within 30 minutes, he was confused again, and he was back to slurring. I mentioned this to Rita, and she said, "It's just the natural progression of the disease. He has better days and worse days." I called my dad's neighbor, who'd known him for years, and asked if she'd noticed anything strange. She told me he seemed perfectly fine just 3 weeks ago when I saw him at the grocery store. He was friendly and joking around like always. I asked her if she'd noticed any changes since Rita moved in, and she went quiet. She said, "Rita's been spending an awful lot of time at your dad's place, and he seems different whenever she's around." I thanked her and hung up feeling like something wasn't adding up. I went back to the house and searched through the kitchen trash. I found empty prescription bottles hidden under some newspaper. Sedatives, multiple bottles, all with my aunt's name on them, all recently emptied. I called the pharmacy where my aunt got her prescriptions filled and pretended to be her. I asked if there were any prescriptions waiting to be picked up. The pharmacist told me, "We can't give you any more of this medication. You've already refilled the prescription 3 times this month." I felt my stomach drop. I searched Rita's room and found a notebook hidden under her mattress. Inside were dates, times, and notes about my dad's behavior. Things like crushed 2 pills in his breakfast, confusion obvious by noon, and memory problems intensifying with higher doses. My hands were trembling as I read through everything. She had a court date scheduled for 2 weeks from now. The paperwork claimed my dad was mentally incompetent, and she was asking to be declared his legal guardian. I found bank documents showing she'd already started moving money from his accounts into her own name, labeled as medical expenses. My aunt wasn't just taking advantage of his declining health. She was deliberately causing it. I confronted her that night after my dad fell asleep. I showed her the notebook, the prescription bottles, all of it. She stared at me for a long time, and then her face changed completely. She stopped pretending to be concerned and just looked angry. I asked her why she was doing this, and she told me, "Your dad stole my life when he took that inheritance. I was the one who deserved it, not him. He knew I needed it more, and he just watched me suffer while he played millionaire." She said she'd been planning this for months, waiting for the right moment. She wanted to be declared his guardian so she could have complete control over his finances and his life. She could sell his house, drain his accounts, and there was nothing anyone could do about it because he would legally be incompetent. I asked her what would happen to him, and she said he'd be in a care facility somewhere. If he tried to say anything, people would assume he's delusional. She said it with such coldness that I felt sick. When I told her I was going to the police, she smiled and said, "No one will believe you because I have all the paperwork and the court is on my side." I drove directly to the police station and showed them everything. My aunt took a plea deal and was sentenced to 8 years in prison.